Hey everyone, this is Mikedot and welcome back to the channel. I'm joined today with my bro Afromania. How you doing?
What's up, beautiful people? How is it going? Hope everybody's doing well. How about you, Michael? Are you doing well?
I'm doing fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
You're lying to me?
No.
I don't know. That no screams like you're lying to me.
Yeah, it was an aggressive no.
I know. It's a very aggressive no, so I feel like you're lying to me.
But because just knowing how you think, probably just trying to say something.
Do you know how I think? What am I thinking right now?
You're thinking about how can I screw with my brother by asking him this question.
No, I'm thinking about a squirrel. So you're wrong. So you
No,
don't know what you're thinking
you
about.
You are not thinking about squirrels.
I was literally thinking about a squirrel with a gun.
Okay. Did you even get that game?
Not yet.
Okay, well.
I might get it.
What do you mean you might get it? You were all over that game. Like,
I will probably purchase it.
Well, I hope so.
Soon.
Maybe. I've seen people play
Probably.
It is a good game, though. I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, on today's topics. So yeah, this is a topic I'm glad I kind of held off on. But the whole Nintendo suing Pocketpair for patent infringement for Palworld. The details have been kind of like
Mario's pulling out their lawyers on this one.
Very much so. Also, we also want to talk about Concord and how apparently, allegedly, the budget for this game was around $400 million, which is an insane amount of money to be putting into a video game. And lastly, we wanted to talk about Ronaldo being included in Fatal Fury, the new upcoming Fatal Fury game, which has us a little bit puzzled. But so for the first topic, again, the Nintendo is suing Pocketpair for patent infringement when it comes to their Palworld game, which a lot of people thought that they were going to eventually sue Pocketpair for the copyright infringement due to how similar the characters, the monsters are in the game, because let's face it, if you like the game or don't like the game, I totally love the game. I think Palworld is an awesome game for what it is, but come on, the model designs for the monsters, they look so similar to Pokemon. And yeah, a lot of people thought they were gonna sue them on that, but apparently they said they couldn't find anything, so instead they're gonna sue them on patents. So what this means is they want to sue them on gameplay mechanics or system mechanics, basically anything that's under the hood when it comes to how the game functions. And I think one killer patent that, as mentioned in some articles, is that they want to sue them on the mechanic of simply throwing Pokeballs or throwing traps in order to catch monsters on the field, which a lot of people are saying is completely ridiculous, especially considering one patent that a lot of people point out is a patent that was filed in May of 2023 of this year. Actually, no, it's May 2024 of this year. My bad. That I think was patented for the upcoming Pokemon Legends AZ game. And a lot of people are saying that if this whole lawsuit goes through, that it could be a very dangerous precedent for the entire gaming industry. And I can kind of understand that, because if this does go through, a lot of companies are probably gonna go crazy when it comes to trying to claim this and that when it comes to video game mechanics in the gaming industry. And I feel like this is gonna do a lot more harm, especially when it comes to the indie gaming space, when it comes to trying to create a fun gaming environment. But since a lot of gaming mechanics have already been done before or explored with our current technology, it's going to be really even more difficult when it comes to creating something that's completely unique without stepping on the toes of these big companies and corporations. So with all that said, what are your your initial thoughts on this whole lawsuit?
Again, Now, are you previous onto any kind of Japanese law in terms of patents and how things are actually supposed to work? Because that's how. Okay, go.
Yeah. So the thing is, when it comes to copyright law, it's a little bit. It's very strict. It's extremely strict.
Japanese culture.
Japanese like copyright law is very strict. However, when it comes to patent law, they seem to follow the same
rules of like U.S.
international law. There's international like IP law, and they seem to follow that a lot closer. So, and well, again, don't like. I'm not a lawyer, so please don't try to read me on this. But that's from what I've heard is that again they follow international.
It's what you're able to research. That's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah. This is just from what
I know that we're not lawyers. Exactly. We're just trying to figure out what's going on. Well,
you gotta
in the whole situation.
You gotta put that out there just in case.
Well, we're not lawyers, okay? They know that we don't know anything about law right now. We're just a bunch of two guys just trying to figure out the whole situation. So, I just
want to cover my ass, okay?
Yeah.
But from what I've read. Following that kind of law, I do feel like if they kind of try to follow international law, I do feel like again.
Okay, so what, based on what you know, what is the international law in terms of intellectual property and patents? Like, do you know that much, or are you just going based on what you know?
Again, well, it's just based on what I've read. From others. It's not. I haven't gone that deep into how it works. Mm-hmm. But again, it's just that the patents seem to. The patent that a lot of people are pointing out again seems to be something that was recently filed. So, and it just seems kind of weird to retroactively try to sue them on that basis. Yeah. Because again, it feels like if somebody could just have I don't know, mechanics in a shooting game, say Call of Duty, and how they just recently added some new system into their Call of Duty new Black Ops 6 game called Omni Movement, where you could basically sprint in any direction. And if they put a patent on that and just just today, and then say we put this patent on any game that features Omni Movement now, it cannot be used, or any similar, because for real, the whole Omni Movement thing in Black Ops 6 is kind of a gimmick. Just being able to sprint in any direction is just it's not that of a unique feature that someone else couldn't come up with it. And it's just but and you able to just nail somebody with patent law just on that just seems a little scummy, because again, retroactively being able to put something into law and just be able to sue someone on that basis just seems kind of overblown. And that's why a lot of people, especially in the West, are very, very worried when it comes to seeing this lawsuit go through. Yeah. Because it's just going to be a free for all when it comes to all people suing each other for IP infringement.
Okay, well, if that is the case, like you said, so let's going back to Nintendo, where they're suing them for the mechanic, right? Which is you take ball and you just kind of throw it at them, and then you catch monster, right? You're just suing them for that, which again, it's
well, from what the patent says, it doesn't have to be a ball in particular. It could just be a quote unquote capture item. Yeah. Which again, that opens up a lot of issues again for a lot of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that could open up a big can of worms here in terms of what do you mean. So it could be any way. It doesn't. So it doesn't even have to be a particular way that's being thrown. The lawsuit's kind of opened up itself to be hey, it doesn't have to be ball. It could be your mama. It could be your a cage or anything that you could throw at somebody.
Yeah, because
you could throw shade so no, okay, so yeah, no, it is a little bit concerning if this Now this is just they're filing it. It hasn't gone to court yet.
No.
So
yeah.
I think with the masters that be, again, I don't know how Japanese law works, but I'm guessing if someone were to look at this case, to me, I think it would be dismissed because like you're saying that like everybody kind of uses this mechanic. Like Nintendo isn't previous to the whole pocket monster capturing scene. Like there've been other people that have done this before. Like there've been other games that I have played that have had this mechanic, and there are going to continue to be games that will continue to have this sort of kind of mechanic. So I think with Japanese law would have to sit down and look at that. Like, yeah, you don't really own the scene to how this is being caught, you know?
Yeah.
So I would hope somebody who looks at the case just dismisses it. I really just think this is just simply like a power move on Nintendo, just to I guess either try to force. Again, it doesn't make sense. You can't really force a cease and desist. The game's already out. So, like, I guess in maybe trying to get the people of Palworld to maybe change the mechanic, though, I don't really understand. It just seems like once Palworld made a little bit of money, it seems like Nintendo like, okay, let's step in right now. Now we can throw in the lawsuit and see what we can do to, I guess, bug them about it. Like, because it doesn't. I don't really understand if there's even if that's where they're going. I really don't, like you said, I don't really see the merit of even trying to tackle this. A lot of games go through this mechanic. So again, I don't know really. The only thing I can think of is Nintendo trying to bully another small company. Well, not small. It made a lot of money right now. It's being worked on the Sony, and it's getting backed by Sony. That's the only thing I can think of at this moment for them to try to do that.
Yeah, well, the patent isn't looking for a cease and desist. I mean, sorry, the lawsuit isn't looking for a cease and desist.
Yeah,
it's looking for monetary compensation. So they want money out of Pocketpair.
Oh yeah, because now that it showed us again, that's all it really is. It's just trying to either them get a little bit of some money off their success because of maybe so much of the comparisons between, because it really goes back to that. I think it really goes back to the comparisons between how their monsters look towards that, but they can't get them on that. So like you said, you're just going around another angle. Again, remember, like I think because we talked about this in January, and just because it was mentioned, that doesn't mean they weren't doing the research and trying to figure out where can we tackle them on for. You know,
but again, the reason why we were discussing it back then is because there was such a heavy discussion focused on the monsters. Models,
yes,
and how similar they look to Pokemon. And again, I love the game, and I still like Pokemon to an extent, but obviously the Pocket, the monsters, the pals in Palworld look a lot like Pokemon. There's no denying that. Anyone who's trying to deny it at this point is obviously in denial. Personally, I don't care because I think the game is fun and cool, and it's just, it is whatever at this point. Yeah. And obviously they're still legally distinct enough to pass the copyright law. Yeah. Obviously, because if it really was that much of an issue, they would have been able to sue them then and there. Correct. Not also considering that.
Well, maybe that's probably not true. Because again, I think they had to make sure that there was enough evidence to back that up. Again, even though that was mentioned, I think they still would have to go. Again, we're not lawyers, so I wouldn't know, but I would still assume they would have to go through some steps before they can bring that into court.
Yeah, because they have to actually admit that they stole like actual data or ripped off data from the actual Pokemon games.
Now, I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, and obviously nothing has been followed. I know a lot of people tried to make a connection. One user even forged evidence to try to show everybody that these models were ripped off. But then they later came out and said that these models aren't actually ripped off. But I feel that I should have to I did that because I feel that this game has wronged Pokemon in some way, which is insane. Another thing that I have to mention is that the Pokemon fans are insanely persistent in saying, Nintendo, take these guys out, get on the roof with your sniper rifle, and kill one shot, one kill on Pocketpair.
Well, they're not doing that, but I get it. They're really white knighting for Nintendo hardcore.
I don't understand it. That's insane. I feel like...
Okay, so in terms of like law, like, because I know here, like in U.S. law, you're proven innocent until guilty. How's that like in Japan in terms of that? Does it follow like European law where you're guilty until proven innocent? Like how is Japanese law in terms of international stuff? Yeah,
you said innocent until proven guilty, then you said guilty until proven innocent.
Yes, in U.S. law, you're innocent until proven guilty. However, when you're in like Europe, it's completely different. You're guilty until you're proven innocent. So in terms of that, how does Japanese law in terms of like patents and stuff like that, do they follow the same thing as European law? Or is it more leaning towards Western law? Do they see Palworld as guilty of IP infringement?
I have no idea, but that is a good. I didn't know that about European law.
Yeah,
that's a pretty.
Well,
good.
It's for celebrity mostly because I took a little bit of a communications class, and I know that in terms of like celebrities, and that's why a lot of celebrities that live in U.S. would take their court over to like Europe because of it would favor the celebrity in terms of who they're, I guess, suing, what defendant they're trying to sue in terms of certain situations. So that's why I kind of figured if they fall in that same breath, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, I guess just the whole situation is kind of murky because again, there are so many like similar monster capturing games, especially when it comes to indie space. When you have games like Temtem, Koromon, Nexamon, Cassette Beast, and many other similar games.
There's a lot of games that do all of that. Yeah,
that have that capture mechanic, and basically all those games are going to be in trouble if this lawsuit, if Nintendo wins.
It wins, yeah. Again, it hasn't gone to court. Mm-hmm. We have no evidence that it's gone to court yet. So, but I think again, Japanese law would have to sit down and see that. Like, if we take this case, and then what happens to all these other games? You're going to try to go sue them too. Then again, Nintendo did try to go for power. Now, is there any kind of response to Sony on this end? Like, I feel like Sony's been kind of quiet about all this, or they're just kind of waiting to see this play out. Because I know just recently, a couple months ago, Sony was a partner in trying to help out more in the merchandising side of Palworld. Any word about that?
Can you repeat that again?
Oh, wow, you're not paying attention. Great. I said in terms of Sony, how does Sony play into this?
Well, it's not sure at the moment yet how Sony is going to play into this. Because, I did tell you earlier that, like, they formed, like, Palworld Entertainment was Sony Music Entertainment Japan. That's the one distinction that needs to be pointed out. Okay. It's not just Sony as a whole. It's their Japanese music division. Oh,
just the music. I thought it was also like merchandising and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, they are doing merchandising, but I guess they handle a lot of other things within that division. But Sony Music Entertainment Japan. And we have no idea if they're going to actually get involved yet, because it would be really good if they could, for financial aid in order to pay for those legal fees. Although some analysts have pointed out that even if Sony doesn't get involved, Pocketpair, since they earn a lot from the game and have been doing a lot of investment in order to keep their funds up, they think they could easily afford the legal fees. Regardless.
For how long?
But that is a good question. For how long? Because again, they're still indie.
They can drag this out for a minute if they wanted to.
And that's usually how it goes. Is they try to bleed you out for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And people are already saying that if this goes go to court, we won't hear anything about it for an entire year.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while.
It's going to take a very long while. And again, like you said, it may not go into court until the following year if they believe that there's enough accumulated evidence.
There's
that
enough
has
of a case
happened.
here. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
you're right. We may not hear for a very long time. It might pop again. It might pop up somewhere down the road when and even what if it and even if that were to be the case too, like where's Palworld now in terms of just the game itself?
Well, the game is doing all right, I would say. I mean, obviously the game is not as popular as it used to be. Obviously, it had like a highs of like 2 million active players and over 20 million sales.
Yeah,
which is crazy because the developers of Palworld did not expect the game to be as popular as it was. They were only like expecting to sell around 50,000 copies, not 20 million.
I get that.
They were very humble. They didn't think this game was gonna blow up like it did.
Well, Nintendo didn't expect this to blow up like they did too. That's why they're saying, yeah, let's go and sue them.
Very much so. But yeah, now the game usually has like highs of only like 10,000 to like 25,000, which is still pretty healthy for an indie game, especially for an indie game that's not a live service, because there's so many other indie games that blew up massively, and obviously like not as popular, like BattleBit Remastered, Among Us. What is it that one game? I forget the name of that game. It's also very similar to Lethal Company, yeah. Another game. There's so many indie games that blow up. They have their moment in the sun, and then obviously they die down, and Palworld is no exception. So yeah, I think it's pretty. I don't get why people calling it quote unquote dead game, because it doesn't have the millions of players that it had near its launch. When it's a game, it's not a live service game. It's a single player game first. That's completely, you can play completely offline or single player, and you never have to play multiplayer at all. And you can and it has a finite amount of content. So people played it, they enjoyed it, they moved on. And that's healthy for a game of that nature. So I don't understand why so many people keep calling it a dead game, because I'm pretty sure if Nintendo ever revealed the player counts for their recent Pokemon games like Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield, those games will be just as dead as Palworld.
That's true. Yeah.
So I guess one more thing I want to add before switching topics, because we were on this for a while. But a lot of people say that Nintendo has never lost a case that they initiated, but that's actually not true, because they did. There was a time where they tried to sue Game Genie and they lost. They also tried to sue a company called Tengen for multi-carts, for like illegal like Nintendo multi-carts, and also lost. So, and there's probably some other examples that I could probably bring up, but those are just two that pop into mind. So yeah, Nintendo isn't like invincible when it comes to lawfare.
No, and I don't. And it again, like, you also have to understand what was these companies. It was a lot of these big companies. They have these lawyers that will go out into the world and ether and trying to find out, who's copyrighted our junk and all this stuff. Unfortunately, Power tend to be the loudest because of what the game was able to make up, the noise and how much money the game was able to generate. And like I said, this project has been in the works for a couple of years by now. So it's been on the eyes of Nintendo for a while. Like, Nintendo's been keeping an eye on that. You would have to think so. They're out there. The lawyers have been looking at that. Like, this seems a little bit off. But like, a lot of companies are doing that too. And again, for a lot of the same reasons to it, because again, Nintendo could be getting ready to launch a new Pokemon game, and they want to make sure that there's no bad actors over there that are trying to impede on what they're trying to do, so if they feel like there are some similarities in terms of things, that probably may jump into the fray of things, but in terms of the whole court case, like I said, we may not, again, like I said, it might take a while until we hear anything of this again, to see if they actually have a case though. But like I said, if it goes to actual court, and they Nintendo pulls a win off, well, yeah, that's going to change. Like I said, it's going to change the fabric of how people do these monster capturing games moving forward.
Yeah, and I feel again it's also going to screw with like the just patents in video games in general.
Yeah.
Like again, I feel like EA they need some money. EA needs some money. Activision Blizzard needs some money, especially with how like poorly their Call of Duty games are doing. They say like, oh, we're gonna patent this like gameplay mechanic from Call of Duty. So
it'd be such an ugly free for all. Like, okay,
yeah,
so
exactly.
like, yeah, you won't be able to do Battlefield anymore because we have a certain mechanic that's in Call of Duty right now, and it's gonna be, it'd be stupid. I really don't think this will go any further than that in terms of what would be stake of what people can do moving forward. You know, everybody should be able to have that ability. So like what happens with Digimon, because Digimon has like a weird, almost the same kind of mechanic, right? It's not.
No, I don't. I think
it's still.
It's monster. It's obviously it's monstertainment and stuff like. I don't think it has like mechanic. It has like
You
a
still
collection mechanic. But I don't think you collect them, but I don't think you capture them like you do in Pokemon.
Okay.
Because also a lot of people have also pointed out that Shin Megami Tensei also was like one of the first games to ever have the whole monster collection thing, but it never had a capture mechanic. Because in those games, you actually talk to the monsters and you negotiate and try to convince them to join your team. That's what you do in those games. That's what makes them different. Okay, so now after that long discussion, let's move on to next discussion. I think this is going to be a lot shorter. Concord, allegedly the budget for Concord.
Now this game is totally dead.
Yeah, 100% dead. However, a lot of people, there was a report from a person who had connections to one of the developers who worked on the game, suggesting that the budget for the game was over $400 million. Now that's a ridiculous amount of money for like not just a video game, but for a piece of entertainment in general. A lot of people, some people are suggesting that that's way too much money. I don't think any company would put that much money on a product like that, but I do feel like it is a bit plausible considering again how much faith that Sony had in this project. Again, according to the insider suggested that Sony thought that this game was going to be their brand of Star Wars. They thought that this game was going to be the future of their company, and they were willing to put it all on the line for this game. And they there was so much issues with the game during development. Apparently they spent a lot of time just faffing about with the game and just not getting a lot done. Halfway through its development, they ended up spending like $200 million when the game was in an abysmal state. So they had to put in another $200 million in order to get the game finished, and they had to outsource a lot of work to get the game completed. Yeah. Which is, again, that's ridiculous. What, like, it just makes you wonder, like, what were they doing that whole time?
Now, apologies. What was the company that? What was the development team?
Firewalk Studios.
Firewalk Studios.
I think there was it was a newly formed studio that was comprised of, I believe, like Destiny devs.
Where was it in the States, or was it like outside?
It should have been the States. I mean,
like Europe, or was it actually in the States? And the only reason why I say that because if that is the case, then
it's in the States.
Okay.
So what you were saying?
So the only reason why I would say that is because usually when you're trying to open up again video game companies or new development teams, and ideally you'll do it for tax credit. Companies would try to go out there to try to do it for tax credit. I would assume that if you weren't trying to open up a new state, and that's why I was That's why when I heard the number, like you say, it's outrageous, but I guess not really in terms of trying to start something up. And because if the game does well, you'll get that kickback, in terms of in terms of the projects and stuff like that.
I thought when you try to get tax credit, you do that when you want to write the game off. Isn't that how it works? If you write the thing, you write something off, like a product off for tax credit. I think it only happens when a product is completely failed, and you just
I don't think so, because then why even just make the game and just write it off from where you are? I think you get some kind of kickback if you open up a studio somewhere, or I could be wrong. Or you know what, my mind might be thinking about you with Skull and Bones and how they had to open up a Ubisoft Singapore, because I know that they would get they get tax credit off for opening up a new studio over there. I don't know if it's the same thing here in the United States.
Yeah, I doubt it's the same thing over here. Against Skull and Bones with Ubisoft opening up in Singapore, they obviously did that because they wanted to try to develop a game with as efficiently as possible, and obviously getting some money from the Singaporean government.
Yeah,
but that's a whole another story. Here again, Sony had so much faith in Concord, in the Firewalk Studios, that all the money they put in this game was before they even bought the studio out. So they're officially a part of Sony, but this was all before they even bought the studio out. And again, they had to outsource a lot of the work because the game was in a very bad state. There was also one big thing to note is that the credits, there's an in-game credits for the game that was available at the menu screen. The credits screen is over an hour long. Like an hour long. I've never heard of any game or even a movie having hour-long credits. But when you hear about that, I feel like the $400 million makes a little bit more sense, because that is a lot of people that you would have to put on an hour-long credit screen.
In the beginning or the end of the game, really?
The multiplayer game, so the credit screens are just available.
Oh yeah, that's
on the
right,
menu.
for menus and stuff like that. So they really went out their money to get this crazy team in order to trying to get this game up. It just sounds like a huge mismanagement of funds.
I just feel
throughout this entire project. And how long has this project been? Almost for a decade?
8 years.
So about a decade. Yeah, that makes sense in terms of how blown the budget can get in terms of games like that too. Well, listen, I as bad as Concord didn't succeed, the positive, I would say, it's at least Sony was willing to take a shot at trying to build a universe that they completely believe in. Now, clearly, the game came out, wasn't received very well for a lot of reasons, but at least you do give credit for Sony for at least, hey, listen, we're gonna at least throw our hat in and our investment in, and hopefully that we could build this world into something more. But unfortunately, like you said, between just the fumbling between stupid consulting groups and designs and clearly poor mismanagement of funds, I think it just came to a town like, hey, we just need to get this product out, and we have to try to recoup some of our money in some form of way. And clearly this was maybe the poor end result of just years of a game being in development and just not being good. But at some point we just kind of again, going back with Skull and Bones, we just have to get a product out. Unfortunately, we just have to get it out, whether or not, and then either we'll deal with the consequences, or like you said, we'll have the ability to write it off eventually, and no harm, no foul, right? Even though there is harm and foul, because now the company is now dismantled.
No, they're not dismantled. They're still there.
Oh, really?
I mean, this thing is, okay, so what they have planned, okay, so I know you mentioned before together that the studio head for Firewalk stepped down. Stepped down, and there might be a round of layoffs.
That's what I heard.
What they might plan to do with Firewalk 2 is turn them into a support studio. Basically, they're going to be there assisting other game studios on Sony brand projects.
Okay.
That is the current. That might be the current plan for Firewalk Studios.
Okay, well that's at least good. At least it's better than laying everybody off or like dismantling
the studio.
the studio entirely, because at least gives people work.
Yeah.
So okay, no, okay.
That is what is
the whole
possibly going to happen to Firewalk Studios. But yeah, like I said, like I'm personally like, and when you think about it even more, I know like the budgets for a lot of AAA games are very high, 1 million, 2 million. Like Spider-Man 2 cost like I believe like 2 million. Like Cyberpunk was like around 150 million.
I was gonna say 2 million. Like that's a lot.
I mean, it's like 200 million.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry. Again, misspoken. Like my mouth is getting ahead of my brain. But like, yeah, 200 million for like Spider-Man 2, like 150 million for games like Cyberpunk 2077, and then you got the big daddy of games, Star Citizen. If you ever heard of that one,
Oh yeah,
that's
Jesus.
Easily in the billions. I think it's reaching a billion right now.
That game, it's not even out yet.
And it's not even out yet.
No, that's a new disaster waiting to happen.
I mean, okay, I could go. Okay, I'm just gonna go into a small tangent when it comes to Star Citizen. Yeah, that game is still being
Crowdfunded.
It's still being crowdfunded.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and it's like up to like it's like I think it's 600 plus million dollars on Star Citizen. Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of money to be put into a game that that's not officially out. You can play it. You can play the game, but it's nowhere near done. That being said, from what I've seen, from what they are trying to accomplish, I can kind of sort of see why so many people believe in this game with the technology they're putting into it, with the whole server meshing technology and the visual fidelity of the game and the whole like system. I still think it's a ridiculous amount of money, but I understand why so many people have faith in the game. But I really hope at some point they get that game across the finish line, because you can only string people around for so long.
Yeah, it's almost like the Intellivision Amico situation too, where like everybody again, it's not a game, but it's like bringing back an old, an
old like console
for nostalgia reasons.
Isn't that like wasn't that from Tommy Tallarico's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Abysmal
thing.
Yeah, that flamed out pretty bad. He's again not even with the company right now, with so many restructures right now, and you can't. It's upsetting, like, because like I know Star Citizen was an old game, right? Like that's kind of getting a new rebirth.
No, it was made by someone who used to make. I believe, what was the game? Yeah, Freelancer.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because like it was made by the people who made like Freelancer, I believe one of the head creators of the Freelancer series, and they wanted to basically make a spiritual successor that's completely online, that's completely like its own like universe on the same level as, say, a game like EVE Online, if you've ever heard of that.
Yes.
That again, I could go into another okay, I'm gonna get off the topic because I could go from tangent to tangent regarding like games like EVE Online, how that game is basically a universe in of itself, and it's crazy. They want to basically take that and turn it into like a first person like open world experience where you can basically do anything. You can live so many different lives. You can just be like a space trucker, you can be a bounty hunter, an outlaw, you can be like like a war general, or you could just be just like a pizza delivery guy, just go around delivering pizzas, space apartments, and galaxy or whatever. But yeah, anyway, again, budgets, like I don't think the budget for Concord is that ridiculous when you all things considered. I think it's going to be the death knell of the AAA gaming industry if the these companies don't like rein all this crap in, but it is like completely like it makes a lot of sense considering.
It's a common course right now for a lot of these AAA games right now. So when you said 400 million, it's like, well, I mean that's not really shocking. Like I'm curious to see what Grand Theft Auto 6's budget, but again, rumored. It's been rumored that it's around $1 billion. So who knows? In terms of budgets. But
I gotcha.
it's not shocking to hear those numbers.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so for our last topic, a little bit more lighthearted. So Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves is a game that we've been looking forward to for a while now, and a very weird announcement got made very recently regarding a very well-known soccer player that my brother is very familiar with.
And Michael's not.
And I'm not. Yeah, I came to him saying, like, do you know who Cristiano Ronaldo is? And he just gave me the death. Isaac just gave me the death stare.
Yeah, how do you not know the second best soccer player under Lionel Messi?
Like, okay, I know Messi, and like, okay.
Well, good.
Okay,
at least you know the best,
okay,
the number one best soccer player on the planet.
Okay. Well, I want to know, is David Beckham still relevant?
Shut up,
No, I'm serious question. Is he still around?
God. I just stop talking.
What? I just no.
Continue.
Hey, I'm just trying.
Continue.
I'm just trying.
I'm not even answering that.
Why not?
I'm so not answering that.
Why not?
You disgust me right now.
Oh, come on. I'm trying to bond with you on a personal level.
No, stop it. You're failing. Stop. Continue. David Beckham's still playing. It shows you
I didn't say is he still playing. I said is he still relevant? As in, is he still decent, like a top player?
Michael, you just said he's not even playing. I just said he's not even playing. He can't. It's not relevant in soccer at the moment. He's relevant as a personality, but not in just relevant in personality in soccer. But he's not playing soccer.
Okay, that's all I want. That's all I want.
Shut up. Just continue. You're getting me annoyed with this. Go.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be
Ronaldo.
Okay, he's going to be involved in Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, in some way. It's not announced what his involvement is going to be. No one knows if he's going to be like a playable character.
Think this guy even knows what this game is?
I don't think so. And I don't think that's what matters. It's just having.
I think it's just like
likeness.
His PR team's like, hey, we got this weird, crazy idea that we want to present to you right now. Are you down for it? And he's like, yes.
I mean, you said that. I mean, again, it could just be having his likeness in the game as like an NPC or something. Who knows? But they're obviously doing something about it, and it could be cool. We don't know what it's gonna be, but this is nothing. I don't think there's anything completely out of the blue because like game companies have done like crossover promotions with like famous celebrities, famous like movie stars, famous athletes before. Like one that comes to mind is Usain Bolt, which is one of the fastest man in the world. He also did an exclusive Japanese promo for one of the recent Pokemon games, which was kind of cool. But I mean, obviously he's not a big Pokemon fan, but I mean, just him being involved in the Pokemon universe in some ways it's kind of funny. Obviously, as Usain Bolt is the fastest man, he had a lot of electric types. Yeah, he had a lot of electric types, and he had his special move, the Usain Bolt, and he did it like a really goofy pose. I'll probably like have video of that commercial on screen so you guys can see it. But yeah, it could be cool. I mean, just the crossover of like real world athletes into video games. It's nothing too spectacular. One game that I used to play back in the day was a game called 3-on-3 Freestyle. It is a sports game, like more in the lines of NBA Street, if you remember that series. It's more like over the top, like over the top basketball. Because I'm usually more into like when I'm into like sports game, I'm usually more into the like, you know, the over the top crazy sports, extreme sports like that. And they included a person named the Professor, a very well known street basketball. I know
he used to do a lot of and one basketball back in the early 2000s, stuff like that.
I remember us talking about it. I didn't know much about the Professor, but it was pretty cool learning his backstory.
I did because of the whole street basketball fad and one, and like even the game. There's even a game about that, Street Hoops.
Yeah, I remember that.
Xbox, yeah, so
I remember that.
The whole thing. Yeah,
I mean, it was. I mean,
half
it was
man, half maze, and Escalade. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool learning about the Professor in the game, and because I did take the time to watch some of his old you know, plays, his old like match, some of his old like, you know, street matches and whatnot. And another example that also comes to mind is in the SSX 2012 reboot. They included a real world snowboarder named Travis Rice, and he had his own story to tell about how he sees the future of snowboarding in a few years, and saying like how him getting included in his game was a big honor because he's a big fan of snowboarding, and seeing all the crazy tricks you can do in SSX compared to real life is something that he would love to see in the future of snowboarding, having like metallic snowboards that are just gripped to your foot, and you could do crazy spins and stuff like that, because that's what they kind of do in like
but here's the thing though, but what's a little bit weirdly different like this isn't like this was people that you mentioned, they're readily stuck within sports games. Like the Professor is playing basketball because that's what he does. Travis Rice is a snowboarder because that's what he does. Cristiano doesn't fight anybody. So that's the only little different thing about this, about a sports athlete being in a fighting game. He doesn't fight anybody. He plays soccer. That's what's weird about it.
I mean, sometimes you're fighting soccer.
No, sometimes you dive and roll around like a little bitch in soccer. And
hey. For everything that I say, like, all I say about,
and I enjoy soccer too.
I mean,
so
I can say,
I like soccer.
I'm gonna say, just like for all the shit you're giving me about soccer,
the
diving mean flip. Hey, flips and dives in soccer.
No, you don't even see. Again, you don't even know what I'm talking about.
I know enough. Come on, man. Give me a little bit of credit here.
No, because you don't know. Okay, so what did you mean when I said dive in?
No, I just said that because it takes a lot of effort to nail a dive in soccer, especially when you're trying to either hit with your head or get it like I
see. You see, you don't even understand what I'm talking about. When you don't even know what I'm talking about. When I said dive in, when people dive, the term when people take a dive is basically when say like a player gets hit and he falls around it and rolls around acting like he's hurt. That's diving.
Oh, that's what it means?
Kind of, yeah.
I thought you meant like an actual, like a physical dive. So you mean like actually being a little bitch when you get hurt and trying to play up to the judge to try to foul the teammate?
Yeah.
That's what it means?
Yeah.
Okay. That's dumb.
That's why I say you need to know what a soccer. See, this is why hence why you don't really watch sports, but that's okay. You wouldn't know that. Anyway.
Come on. It's like, 'cause when you talk the topic of diving, I have a specific mindset of what a dive means. Like why not call it like faking an injury? Like come on. Like you're trying to rail me for not knowing this kind of terminology.
Yeah, well, that's why you're like, yeah, I know what diving is. It's like the physical aspect of.
Like you can't rail me for that, for not knowing how dive doesn't mean what it actually means. Okay, you know what? Now you're saying like yeah. I don't understand sports. Well, when you have like so many weird terms like this, and you want to understand, it makes me way more like justified in me not understanding how the sports works. Like how goaltending and basketball doesn't actually mean like actually getting a goal. Like, oh, goaltending means when you freaking like block the net and you're not supposed to do that. And it's like sports are weird, man.
That's fine. Yeah, it's a weird promotion, and I don't know exactly. Hopefully we get a little bit more information down the road for this too. I'm not really expecting him to be an actual player. It's gonna be some weird kind of promotion. I think maybe if not maybe one of the characters will have some kind of Cristiano Ronaldo memorabilia, or you get to dress up in one of his famous jerseys, depending on what team he's playing. I don't know what team he's playing right now, but I think that's as far as it goes. I don't see anything really major than that. I think it's just like the PR agent's like, hey, man, we got to get you back to being relevant again. So, hey, you want to be in this game? Like, yeah.
Well, who knows, man? I mean, I feel they hype that with that promotion though. Like, you don't put that much of effort into a promo just to have Ronaldo as like a small like set piece in the game. I think it has to be something significant, man. Like,
I don't think
something significant. Nah. That's way too much effort.
Nah, it's all that effort, and I don't think so. Listen, I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if it's actually like him as a actual playable character, yeah. But that's such a far stretch. It's not even that.
You just want to keep your expectations low.
It's not about even keeping my expectations low. It just doesn't. It's just a weird crossover that doesn't really make any sense. So I don't think it's going to be anything big than that.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, again, I'm not the biggest sports guy, but I got a little excited because I think like maybe if they do put him in the game, it'd be like, what would be if he had like a soccer play style where he uses like a soccer ball as projectile, similar to that one guy from the Project Justice Rival Schools game. That could be cool. Like that's what my mind immediately went to.
No.
In fact, what is the name of that character from the Rival Schools game?
Isn't I think it's probably Ronaldo.
It's like Roberto.
It's close enough.
Yeah,
I was close.
Yeah, Roberto from the Rival Schools game was a pretty cool character. And I was like, if they can make a soccer play style where he kicks a ball and uses that'd be pretty cool. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's wishful thinking. I don't think it's gonna be anything like that. I mean, that's when you brought it to me, I was like, yeah, I'm not expecting anything from this. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yes, anyway, that's all the topics that we really want to discuss. So what did you think about what we discussed here today? Do you really think Nintendo is going to get away with this lawsuit against Pocketpair? Do you think that the budget for Concord is realistic, or is it just like a bit too unrealistic? And what do you think about like Ronaldo being possibly introduced into the world of Fatal Fury? Let us know.
And what do you think about diving
in soccer?
And
pretending that you got injured so you can get your opponent in trouble with a red flag.
Exactly.
Okay, so I learned something new with Soccer World today. Okay, I can at least say that much. So let us know what you thought, what you think in the comments, and if you liked what we're doing here, please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mikedot with Afromania, and we are saying peace.
Take care.